The morning sun rose over Haven's Rest, like it had for the past 12 years. Golden light spread across endless fields of wheat and corn that stretched to the horizon. Children ran between the crop rows, their laughter echoing across the peaceful colony world. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stepped out of her small research station and breathed in the clean air. She had come here 5 years ago to study the local plant life. What she found was something better than any discovery she found home. The 50,000 people who lived on Haven's Rest had built something beautiful. Farmers, teachers, doctors, engineers, and families had created a simple life far from the noise and politics of Earth. Elena walked toward the town center, where the weekly market was setting up. Mrs. Chen was arranging fresh vegetables from her garden. Old Pete was tuning his guitar for the evening music. Sarah Martinez was hanging colorful drawings made by her kindergarten class. Everyone knew everyone here. They were a family. Dr. Rodriguez called out little Tommy Walsh. He ran up to her with dirt on his knees and excitement in his eyes. Did you see the shooting stars last night? There were so many. Elena smiled and ruffled his hair. Those weren't shooting stars, Tommy. Those were ships passing through space very far away. What Elena didn't know was that some of those ships were now much closer than anyone realized. High above Haven's Rest, Admiral the Zara of the Hegemony enforcement fleet stood on the bridge of his massive warship. The alien commander was tall and thin with gray skin and cold yellow eyes. He looked down at the peaceful human world with disgust. Such a pathetic species, he said to his second in command. Look at them, farming and playing like children. They spread across space without asking permission. They take worlds that belong to the Galactic Hegemony. The second officer nodded. Should we give them a chance to surrender, Admiral? Dexar's thin lips curved into a cruel smile. No. The Hegemony Council wants to send a message to all unauthorized colonies. Humans think they can take any world they want. Today we show them the price of defying galactic law. He turned to the communications officer. Begin recording. I want this broadcast across all local systems. Let every species see what happens to those who ignore hegemony authority. Down on Haven's Rest, Elena was helping set up tables for the evening feast when the sky began to change. Dark shapes appeared high above, blocking out the sun. The ships were enormous, larger than anything the colonists had ever seen. What are those? Asked Mrs. Chen, shading her eyes to look up. Elena felt ice in her stomach. She had worked on Earth's defense stations before coming here. She knew military ships when she saw them. Everyone needs to get inside now, but it was already too late. Beams of deadly energy lanced down from the alien ships. The first strikes hit the communications tower and the small spaceport. Explosions lit up the afternoon sky. People screamed and ran in all directions. Elena grabbed Tommy Walsh's hand and ran toward her research station. She had emergency equipment there, including a quantum beacon that could send messages across space faster than light. If she could reach it, she might be able to warn Earth. More energy beams rained down. The school building exploded in a ball of fire. The hospital collapsed as walls melted under alien weapons. Elena saw Mrs. Chen fall as debris crashed around her. She saw old Pete trying to shield a group of children with his own body. Why are they doing this? Tommy cried as they ran. Alina didn't have an answer. This wasn't a military target. This was just a farming world with families and children, but the aliens were destroying everything, systematically, like they wanted to make sure nothing survived. They reached Alina's station just as another energy beam hit nearby. The building shook and sparks flew from damaged equipment. Alina's hands moved quickly over the quantum beacon controls. The machine hummed to life. "Come on," she whispered. "Work, please work." Through the small window, she could see alien ships landing in the fields, soldiers in dark armor poured out, carrying weapons that glowed with deadly energy. This wasn't just orbital bombardment anymore. They were making sure every human died. The quantum beacon finally connected to Earth's emergency network. Alina began recording her message, knowing it might be the last thing she ever did. "This is Dr. Alina Rodriguez on Haven's Rest Colony. We are under attack by unknown alien forces. They're killing everyone. Civilians, children, everyone. The ships are massive, technology we've never seen before." She uploaded the tactical data. Her sensors had gathered 50,000 people live here. They're murdering all of us. An explosion nearby knocked her to the floor. When she looked up, alien soldiers were at the door. Their weapons were already charging. "Tell Earth," she gasped into the beacon. "Tell them what happened here. Tell them we died as humans and we died free." The energy blast turned everything white. Admiral the Zira watched the final moments of Haven's Rest from his command ship. Fires burned across the continent. No human signals remained active. His soldiers reported complete success. 0 survivors. "Excellent work," he told his crew. "Make sure the recording is clear. I want every species to see this. Humans are not special. They bleed and die like any other primitive species." Broadcast went out across dozens of star systems. The message was simple. This is what happens to unauthorized colonies. This is what happens when you defy the galactic hegemony. But there was something Admiral the Zara didn't know. Dr. Alina Rodriguez's quantum beacon had worked. Her final message, along with complete sensor data and horrifying video footage, was already racing toward Earth at faster than light speed. The signal arrived at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station 3 days later. The technician who received it was a young man named David Park. He had been expecting routine colony reports. Instead, he watched footage that would change everything. David saw the peaceful morning on Haven's Rest. He saw families working in their fields. He saw children playing and laughing. Then he watched it all burn. He watched alien soldiers hunt down civilians who tried to hide. He watched them kill children who couldn't run fast enough. The worst part was Admiral Thexer's final message, broadcast on all frequencies. "Let this be a lesson to all unauthorized settlements. The galactic age of Gemini will not tolerate illegal expansion. Humans are just another primitive species, and they will learn their place." David's hand shook as he forwarded the message to Earth's government. Within an hour, every leader on Earth had seen the footage. Within 6 hours, President Cheney was standing in the emergency session of the World Council. 50,000 people, the president said quietly. 12,000 of them were children. The room was silent. Everyone had watched the same horrible footage. They had all seen what the aliens did to innocent families. "What are our options?" asked the Secretary of Defense, President Chen Wei looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. Each one showed the same mix of grief and rage that he felt in his own heart. We have only one option, he said. We show them what happens when you murder human children. The message to Haven's Rest had taken 3 days to reach Earth. Earth's response would take much longer to prepare, but when it came, the galaxy would learn that humanity was not the primitive species Admiral the Zara thought they were. The burning of Haven's Rest was over, but the fire it lit in human hearts was just beginning to spread. Ambassador Zethal of the Galactic hegemony paced nervously in his ornate office. 6 months had passed since the destruction of Haven's Rest, and something was very wrong. Earth had gone completely silent. The tall, blue-skinned diplomat had expected many things after Admiral Thexar's attack. Angry messages from Earth's government, desperate pleas for mercy, maybe even a small military response that the hegemony could easily crush. What he got instead was nothing at all. Still no response from the human home world. He asked his aide, a nervous creature with too many eyes. Nothing, Ambassador. We've sent diplomatic messages, trade requests, even threats. The Sol system appears to be completely dark. No communications in or out for 6 months. Zethal stopped pacing. This wasn't normal. When the hegemony destroyed unauthorized colonies, the parent species always responded somehow. They begged, they threatened, they tried to negotiate. They didn't just disappear. What about our spy networks? Surely we have some information about what's happening on Earth. The aide shuffled through data tablets with trembling hands. That's what worries me, sir. All our intelligence sources in human space have gone dark. The last reports we received were strange. Strange how? Massive industrial activity across all human worlds, every shipyard from Earth to the outer colonies running at maximum capacity, civilian populations being moved underground, energy signatures that our analysts can't identify. Ambassador Zethal felt a cold chill run down his spine. He had been a diplomat for 40 years. He knew the signs of a species preparing for war, but this seemed like something else entirely. Far from the hegemon's capital, deep beneath the Himalayan mountains on Earth, President Cheney stood in a vast underground chamber that hadn't existed 7 months ago. The strategic command bunker stretched for miles in every direction, its walls lined with screens showing industrial output from across human space. Status report, the president said quietly. Admiral Sarah Hawthorne, Earth's finest military strategist, stepped forward. She was a small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war. All shipyards are at 150% capacity. We've converted every civilian industry to military production. Mining operations in the asteroid belt are pulling out more metal than ever before in human history, and the fleet currently at 387,000 dreadnoughts completed. The final 13,000 should be ready within 2 weeks. President Cheney nodded slowly. Around them, thousands of technicians worked at control stations, coordinating the largest military build-up in human history. Every person in the bunker had watched the footage from Haven's Rest. Every person knew what they were working toward. Show me the latest design specs, the president said. Admiral Hawthorne activated a holographic display. The ship that appeared was massive, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its hull gleamed with advanced armor. Plating, weapon systems covered every surface. Most importantly, it carried technology that humanity had kept secret. For decades, each dreadnought is 2.3 km long, Admiral Hawthorne explained. They're powered by quantum fusion, reactors that generate more energy than some stars. The main weapons can crack a planet's crust from orbit. The shields can absorb direct hits from anti-air warheads, and they don't know we have this technology. No, sir, we've been very careful. For 50 years we've let other species think our ships were primitive. We use simple designs for trade and exploration. Meanwhile, our real military research stayed hidden. President Cheney studied the hologram. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Each ship represented billions of work hours and unlimited resources. More importantly, each ship represented Earth's answer to Haven's Rest. Crew training complete. Every ship will be crewed by volunteers. We had more people apply than we could use. Turns out when you show humans footage of children being murdered, they get motivated. Another part of the bunker, Dr. James Lau was putting the finishing touches on humanity's secret weapon, not the ships themselves, but the technology that made them possible. Quantum displacement drives are ready, he reported to his team. Temporal shield generators are online. Probability manipulation systems are functioning within acceptable parameters. His assistant, Dr. Sarah Kim, looked up from her workstation. Are we really going to reveal all of this? We've kept these technologies secret for so long. Dr. Liu thought about little Tommy Walsh from Haven's Rest, the boy who had asked about shooting stars and would never ask another question about anything. Yes, we're going to show them everything. Let the galaxy see what humans can really do when we stop holding back. Back in hegemony space, Admiral Thexar was growing increasingly worried. His victory at Haven's Rest should have made him a hero. Instead, he found himself assigned to patrol the border between hegemony and human space, watching for Earth's response. Admiral called his communications officer. We're detecting something strange from the direction of Sol system. What kind of strange energy? Readings, sir. Massive ones. It's like someone lit up a dozen stars in that system. Admiral the Zara moved to the sensor station. The readings were impossible. No known technology could generate that much power. Are you certain these readings are accurate? Yes, sir. And Admiral, they're getting stronger. Meanwhile, on the hegemony home world, the Council of Species was meeting in emergency session. Representatives from 100 different alien races filled the great chamber, all of them asking the same question. Where were the humans? 6 months of silence is unprecedented, declared Counselor Vexar, a mantis-like creature from the outer rim. When we destroyed the Ketharan colonies, they responded. Within days, the humans are probably building a small revenge fleet, said Counselor Morden, whose species resembled walking trees. Something to save face. We'll crush it easily and be done with this matter. But Counselor Zekar, oldest and wisest of the assembly, shook his massive head. His species had lived for thousands of years and remembered when the humans first appeared in space. You're all making a mistake, he said in his deep rumbling voice. You think humans are like other species. They're not. When humans go Silent, it means they're planning. Something terrible, ridiculous, scoffed. Counselor Morton, they're a young species, primitive, they've been in space for less than 200 years, Counselor. Zekar's ancient eyes fixed on the speaker. In those 200 years they've colonized more world than most species. Manage in 2000, they've developed faster than light travel, terraforming technology, and industrial capacity that matches civilizations 10 times older. And you think they're primitive? The chamber fell silent. Many counselors had never thought about humanity's rapid expansion in those terms. What are you suggesting? Asked Counselor Vexar. I'm suggesting that maybe we should have studied humans more carefully before we decided to murder their children. Back on Earth, President Cheney received the final report from Admiral Hawthorne. Every dreadnought was complete, every crew was trained, every system was ready. 400,000 ships, he said quietly, one for every 8 people who died on Haven's rest. The fleet is ready to depart on your orders, sir. President Cheney thought about Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had died trying to warn Earth. He thought about Tommy Walsh, who would never see another sunrise. He thought about Mrs. Chen and old Pete, and Sarah Martinez and all the others who had just wanted to live in peace. Send a message to Admiral Thexa, he said. Finally, tell him we received his broadcast from Haven's Rest. Tell him we found it very educational. Just that, sir, just that. Let him wonder what we learned. As the message headed toward hegemony space, 400,000 dreadnoughts began moving toward the edge of the Sol system. The largest fleet in galactic history was about to emerge from the shadows, and with it the galaxy would learn what humans really were. The silence from Sol was about to end, and when it did, the galaxy would never be the same. The first detection came from a hegemony listening post on the edge of human space. Sensor operator Clicks was finishing his shift when every alarm in the station began screaming at once. What's happening? Shouted his supervisor, rushing to the control station. Clicks stared at his screens in disbelief. Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures emerging from Sol system, multiple contacts, very large, moving at incredible speed. How many contacts? Click's hands trembled as he worked the controls. The number kept climbing. Sir, I'm reading. This can't be right. Give me a number. Over 400,000 ships, sir, and they're all heading directly toward us. The supervisor grabbed the emergency communication system. Within minutes, the report was racing toward Hegemony Central Command. Within an hour, every major government in the galaxy knew that humanity's silence had ended. Admiral Thexa received the news while inspecting his Border Patrol fleet. He read the report 3 times before he believed it. 400,000 ships, he said to his aide. That's impossible. Humans don't have that kind of industrial capacity. The reports are confirmed from multiple sources, Admiral. Long-range scans show a fleet formation so large it takes hours to count all the ships, Admiral. Vixara felt something he hadn't experienced in years: fear. What kind of ships are they? Unknown design, sir, much larger than anything we've seen from humans before. Each vessel appears to be over 2 km long. Admiral stared out at the stars, remembering his easy victory at Haven's Rest. 50,000 humans had died without putting up any real fight. Their ships had been small and weak. How could they possibly have built such a massive fleet? In just 6 months, get me a direct line. To Hegemony Central Command, he ordered. We need reinforcements, all of them. On Earth, Admiral Sarah Hawthorne stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, the flagship of humanity's revenge fleet. Around her, 3989 line. 9999, other dreadnoughts moved through space. In perfect formation, each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, bristling with weapons that could turn planets to dust. Admiral reported her communications officer, we're receiving panic signals from across Hegemony space. They know we're coming. Good. How long until we reach the nexus point? 18 hours at current speed. Admiral Hawthorne nodded. The nexus point was a strategic system that controlled access to both human and hegemony space. It would be the perfect place for the galaxy's largest battle. It would also be the perfect place to send a message that no one could ignore. Open a channel. To Admiral Zara, she ordered. Her crew worked quickly to establish the connection. When Admiral Zara's face appeared on the screen, Admiral Hawthorne could see the fear in his alien eyes. Admiral Zara, she said calmly, I believe you have something that belongs to us. I don't understand, the alien replied, trying to sound confident. We have nothing of yours. You have the blood of 50,000 humans on your hands. 12,000 of them were children. You broadcast their deaths across the galaxy like entertainment. Admiral Thexar's expression hardened. Haven's Rest was an illegal settlement. We enforced galactic law. No, said Admiral Hawthorne quietly, you committed genocide, and now we're coming to collect payment for what you did. You cannot threaten the hegemony with a single fleet, no matter how large. Admiral Hawthorne smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Admiral, you killed 50,000 of our people, so we built 400,000 dreadnoughts, one ship for every 8 people you murdered. We did the math. The connection ended, leaving Admiral Zara staring at a blank screen around him. His bridge crew worked frantically to coordinate the largest military response in hegemony history. Status report on our reinforcements. He demanded. The third fleet is moving to support us. His aide reported. Also the 7th, 12th, and 15th fleets. Total force will be approximately 2.3 million ships. Admiral Zara felt some of his confidence return. 2.3 million ships against 400,000. The humans might have caught them by surprise, but numbers were numbers. No force in the galaxy could stand against such overwhelming odds. But deep in space, Admiral Hawthorne was reviewing intelligence reports that told a very different story. Humanity's spies had been busy during the 6 months of silent analysis of hegemony fleet composition. She said to her tactical officer, their ships are primarily focused on overwhelming weaker opponents. Through numbers came the reply, most vessels are 20,000, 30 years old. Weapon systems are outdated. Armor plating is insufficient by our standards. Shield technology is primitive, and our dreadnoughts, each one could engage 50 hegemony ships simultaneously and maintain superiority. Our quantum fusion reactors generate 10 times more power than their largest vessels. Our weapons can penetrate their strongest shields like paper. Admiral Hawthorne studied the tactical projections. It wouldn't even be a fair fight, but fair wasn't the point. Justice was the point. Across the galaxy, news of the Approaching human fleet spread like wildfire on the hegemony home world. The Council of Species met an emergency session. "This is madness," declared Councillor Morton. "Humans cannot possibly challenge the combined might of the hegemony, can't they?" asked Councillor Zethar. "How do you think they built 400,000 ships in 6 months? How do you think they've been colonizing worlds faster than any species in galactic history? You're suggesting they've been hiding their true capabilities." "I'm not suggesting it, I'm stating it as fact. We never paid attention to human industrial capacity because we dismissed them as primitive. Now we're about to learn how wrong we were." In the Great Chamber, 100 different species argued about how to respond to the human threat. Some wanted to negotiate, others demanded immediate attack. A few suggested running away entirely, but on the bridge of the UES Retribution, Admiral Hawthorne wasn't interested in any of those options. She was looking at a memorial wall that filled one entire side of her command center. 50,000 names were etched into the metal, one for each person who died on Haven's Rest. Tommy Walsh, age 7, she read aloud. Sarah Martinez, age 34. Elena Rodriguez, a 41. She paused at each name, remembering faces from the footage that had started this war. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "the hegemony fleet is taking position at the nexus point. They're requesting terms for surrender." "Surrender?" Admiral Hawthorne laughed. But there was no humor in it. "Tell them that humans don't accept surrender from child killers. Tell them they should have thought about terms before they decided to murder families." As the human fleet approached the nexus point, every ship in both fleets prepared for battle. The hegemony forces arranged themselves in traditional formation, hoping their numbers would intimidate the smaller human fleet. They were about to learn that humans had spent 50 years developing weapons and tactics that made traditional warfare obsolete. "All ships," Admiral Hawthorne broadcast to her fleet, "remember Haven's Rest. Remember why we're here today. Do we show the galaxy what happens when you mistake human mercy for weakness." 400,000 dreadnoughts acknowledged her message and prepared to enter combat. Each crew member knew they were about to make history. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy entire worlds, but more importantly, each human in the fleet carried something that no alien could understand: the absolute certainty that they were fighting for justice. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin, and the humans had already won it in their hearts. The Nexus Point had never seen anything like this. 2 massive fleets faced each other across the darkness of space. On one side, 2.3 million ships of the galactic hegemony spread out in traditional battle formation. On the other side, 400,000 human dreadnoughts arranged themselves in perfect geometric patterns that looked almost beautiful. Admiral Thazara stood on his flagship's bridge, studying the human fleet through long-range sensors. Even though his forces outnumbered the humans nearly 6-1, something felt wrong. The human ships were too calm, too organized. They moved with the precision of a species that had never lost a battle. "All ships report ready for combat," his tactical officer announced. "Begin the attack," Admiral Thexer ordered. "Show these humans the price of defying the hegemony." The first wave of hegemony ships rushed forward, weapons charging, energy beams and missile Salvos filled the space between the fleets. It was a sight that would have terrified any other species in the galaxy, but Admiral Sarah Hawthorne just smiled coldly as she watched the incoming attack on her screens. All ships, she broadcast calmly, activate defensive systems and prepare to show them what real weapons look like. What happened next changed everything. Everyone thought they knew about space warfare. The human dreadnoughts lit up with energy shields that absorbed the hegemony weapons like they were flashlights. Missile strikes that should have destroyed ships harmlessly exploded against barriers that seemed impossible. The entire first wave attack accomplished nothing except to announce the beginning of the battle. Impossible, breathed Admiral Zira. Our weapons should have crippled at least a dozen ships, sir, his sensor operator called out. The human vessels are charging their own weapons. Energy readings are, sir, they're off the scale. Admiral Hawthorne stood at her command station, watching the tactical display. Each human ship was represented by a blue dot. Each hegemony ship was red. There were many more red dots, but that didn't matter anymore. All ships, she announced, fire. 100,000 dreadnoughts opened fire simultaneously. The beams that lanced out from the human fleet were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They weren't simple energy weapons. They were focused streams of quantum fire that could burn through anything. Each beam found its target with impossible accuracy. Hegemony ships didn't just explode, they simply ceased to exist, transformed into expanding clouds of superheated plasma. In the first 30 seconds, 10,000 hegemony vessels were destroyed. Evasive maneuvers. Admiral Zara screamed into his communication system. All ships evasive maneuvers, but there was nowhere to run. The human weapons moved at the speed of light and adjusted their targeting faster than any ship could dodge. Worse, the humans were fighting with cold precision that was more terrifying than any battle rage. On the UES Retribution, Admiral Hawthorne watched the destruction with no emotion on her face. Each exploding hegemony ship represented justice for Haven's rest. Each death paid back the murder of innocent humans. Status report, she said calmly. Enemy fleet strength down to 2.1 million ships. Her tactical officer reported, our loss is 0. Continue firing. All targets are valid. The battle became a methodical slaughter. Human dreadnoughts moved through the hegemony fleet like death itself, their weapons reaching out to destroy everything they touched. The aliens tried every tactic they knew, ramming attacks, coordinated strikes, even suicide runs. Nothing worked. Worse for the hegemony forces, they began to realize that the humans weren't just technologically superior. They were psychologically different. Where other species might show mercy or accept surrender, the human fleet systematically destroyed every ship it encountered. Admiral Thexar's communications officer called out, we're receiving surrender requests from over 300 ships. Should I? No, Admiral. Hawthorne's voice cut across all frequencies. Humans don't accept surrender from child killers. You wanted to show the galaxy what happens to unauthorized colonies. Today we show you what happens to those who murder children. Admiral Zara felt true terror for the first time in his long military career. This wasn't a battle. It was an execution, and every human ship was an executioner carrying out a death sentence. All ships, he broadcast, Desperately retreat to secondary positions. We need to regroup, but the human dreadnoughts followed relentlessly. Their speed was impossible, their coordination perfect. It was like fighting a single organism with 400,000 claws, each one deadly beyond imagining. As the hours passed, the hegemony fleet was systematically destroyed. Ships that had served proudly for centuries were reduced to wreckage in minutes. Crews that had conquered dozens of worlds found themselves helpless against human technology that seemed like magic. Sir, Admiral Thexer's aide said quietly, we've lost over half our fleet. Maybe we should consider. What? The Admiral snapped. Surrender. You heard what they said. They're not taking prisoners on the UES Retribution. Dr. James Lau was monitoring the battle from the science station. As the creator of many of the weapons being used, he felt a mix of pride and sadness watching them work. Admiral, he reported to Admiral Hawthorne, our quantum displacement cannons are performing beyond expectations. The temporal shield generators are holding perfectly. The probability manipulation systems are giving us targeting accuracy of 99.97%. How long can we maintain this rate of fire indefinitely? Our quantum fusion reactors are barely working at 10% capacity. Admiral Hawthorne nodded. They could have wiped out the entire hegemony fleet in the first hour if they had wanted to, but this needed to be a lesson, not just a victory. Every species in the galaxy was watching this battle. They needed to see that humans were not the primitive species they had believed. Sir, Admiral Thexar's sensor operator suddenly called out, the human flagship is moving directly toward us. Admiral Thezira looked at his tactical display. The massive human dreadnought was indeed heading straight for his position, cutting through his escort ships like they weren't even there. All remaining ships, he ordered, protect the flagship. Everything you have. 50 hegemony ships moved to intercept the UES Retribution. Their weapons fired continuously, creating a storm of energy that lit up space for thousands of kill 'em. The human dreadnought flew through the attack without slowing down. Its shields absorbed punishment that should have vaporized any ship ever built. When it returned fire, the 50 interceptors simply vanished. Admiral Hawthorne stood on her bridge, watching Admiral Thezira's flagship grow larger on the screen. She thought about little Tommy Walsh, who had asked her about shooting stars and would never ask another question. She thought about Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had died trying to warn Earth. She thought about all the families who had just wanted to live in peace, disable their engines and weapons. She ordered, I want to have conversation with Admiral Thezira. Precise quantum beams lanced out from the UES Retribution. Admiral Thezira's flagship shuddered as its propulsion systems were surgically destroyed. Secondary explosions disabled the weapon systems. In less than a minute, the mighty hegemony warship was reduced to a helpless hulk. Admiral Thezira. Admiral Hawthorne broadcast, your fleet is destroyed. Your ship is disabled. Prepare to be boarded. Around them, the space near the Nexus point was filled with the wreckage of the once mighty hegemony fleet. Of the 2.3 million ships that had entered the battle, fewer than 50,000 remained. Most of those were fleeing toward the edge of the system, carrying news of humanity's terrible victory to the rest of the galaxy. The largest space battle Galactic history was over, and the Humans had won it so completely that it would be remembered as the day the galaxy learned to fear the species from. So, the boarding tubes connected with a soft thud that echoed through Admiral the Zara's disabled flagship, the Alien. Commander stood in his ruined bridge, surrounded by sparking consoles and the bodies of his crew. He had ordered his remaining officers to lay down their weapons. There was no point in fighting anymore. The airlock opened and human soldiers entered. They moved with the same cold precision their ships had shown in battle. Their armor was black as space, and their weapons hummed with barely contained energy, but it was their eyes that made Admiral Thexar step backward. They looked at him like he was already dead. Admiral Sarah Hawthorne entered last. She was smaller than most of her soldiers, but when she looked at Admiral the Zara, he felt like he was staring into the heart of a supernova. Admiral the Zara, she said quietly, "We meet at last. You have won," the alien said, trying to maintain his dignity. "What do you want?" "I want to show you something." Admiral Hawthorne activated a holographic projector. The bridge filled with images from Haven's Rest, the peaceful morning, the children playing, the families working in their fields. Then came the attack, the burning buildings, the systematic murder of civilians. "Do you remember this?" Admiral Hawthorne asked. Admiral Thexar watched the footage without expression. It was a legitimate military operation against an unauthorized colony. These were children. They were illegal settlers. Admiral Hawthorne nodded slowly. "I see. So when you saw 7-year-old Tommy Walsh running through the cornfields, you thought illegal settler. When you watched Mrs. Chen arranging vegetables in the market, you thought unauthorized colonist. When your soldiers hunted down families hiding in their homes, you thought legitimate military operation. The Hegemony Council ordered you to murder 50,000 innocent people, and you did it. Worse, you broadcast it across the galaxy like entertainment." Admiral Hawthorne walked to the large view screen that dominated the bridge. Outside, space was filled with the wreckage of the Hegemony fleet. Thousands of ships had been reduced to glowing debris. The survivors were fleeing in all directions, carrying word of humanity's victory to every corner of the galaxy. "Do you know what this is?" she asked, gesturing to the destruction. "It's your victory." "No. This is a memorial service. Every ship we destroyed represents 8 people you killed on Haven's Rest. Every explosion is a prayer for the innocent dead. Every piece of wreckage is a promise that this will never happen again." Admiral Hawthorne turned back to face him. "You thought humans were weak because we seemed peaceful. You thought we were primitive because our ships looked simple. You were wrong about everything." She activated another hologram, this one showing the human dreadnought that had brought him here. "Each of our ships carries enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. We have quantum fusion reactors that generate more energy than some stars. Our weapons can manipulate time and probability. Our shields can absorb the explosion of antimatter warheads." Admiral the Zara stared at the technical specifications in disbelief. "This technology, it should be impossible. We've had it for 50 years. We kept it secret because we hoped we'd never need to use it. We wanted to explore the galaxy in peace, to trade with other species, to learn and grow together. You made that impossible when you decided to murder our children." Admiral Hawthorne walked over to a section of the bridge wall where her soldiers had installed a memorial display. 50,000 names scrolled slowly across the screen. Every person who had died on Haven's Rest. Elena Rodriguez. She read aloud. She was a scientist who studied plants. She loved helping children learn about nature. She died trying to warn Earth about your attack. Tommy Walsh, 7 years old. He wanted to be a starship pilot when he grew up. Your soldier shot him while he was hiding in a storage shed. Sarah Martinez. She was a teacher. 23 children were in her care when your soldiers found them in the school basement. She tried to shield them with her own body. Admiral Thazara said nothing. What could he say? He had ordered these deaths. He had watched them happen. He had been proud of them. You're going to kill me, he said finally. No, Admiral Hawthorne replied. You're going to live. You're going to go back to the Hegemony Council and tell them what you saw here. You're going to explain that humans are not the primitive species you thought we were. You're going to make them understand that if they ever attack another human colony, we'll come back with 2 million dreadnoughts instead of 400,000. She gestured to her soldiers who began preparing to leave. Your ship's life support is intact. Emergency power will last for weeks. Someone will come for you eventually. Wait, Admiral Thazara called out as they reached the airlock. Why spare me? Admiral Hawthorne paused. Because someone needs to tell the galaxy what happened here. Someone needs to explain that we didn't want this war. We just wanted to live in peace. But when you force humans to fight, this is what happens. We are many, we are strong, and we never forget our dead. Hours later, Admiral Hawthorne stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution as our fleet prepared to depart the Nexus Point. The battle was over, but the message was just beginning to spread. Admiral, her communications officer reported, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 different hegemony worlds. They're asking for terms. Tell them that Earth doesn't want their surrender. We want them to leave us alone. Any human colony that's attacked will result in their home world being visited by our fleet. Make sure they understand that. And the survivors from the battle. Admiral Hawthorne looked at the tactical display. Nearly 50,000 hegemony ships had escaped the battle. They were scattered across dozens of star systems, carrying news of humanity's overwhelming victory. Let them go. Let them tell everyone what they saw here. As the human fleet prepared to leave, Admiral Hawthorne received a message from President Chen. Way on Earth, Sarah, the president said, the galaxy is in chaos. Every major government is demanding to know how we built such a fleet so quickly. They want to negotiate, to establish new treaties, to apologize for what happened. What do you want me to tell them? Tell them the truth. Tell them that humans have been holding back for decades. Tell them we never wanted to conquer anyone. We just wanted to be left alone. But tell them that if they force us to fight again, the response will be even worse. Admiral Hawthorne nodded. And the fleet. Bring our people home, but keep the ships ready. Something tells me the galaxy won't learn this lesson as quickly as we hope. 3 months later, Admiral Hawthorne stood in a different place entirely. She was on Haven's Rest, where human engineers had been working around the clock to build something that had never existed before. The memorial of the innocent rose from the exact spot where the colony's town center had been. It was a massive, crystalline structure that reached toward the sky like a prayer made solid. Inside, holographic displays showed the faces and names of every person who had died here. Tommy Walsh, age 7. Admiral Hawthorne read as she walked through the memorial halls. Elena Rodriguez, age 41. Sarah Martinez, ed. 34. President Chen Wei joined her along with families from Earth who had come to pay their respects. Many were relatives of the dead, others were simply humans who wanted to remember. The galaxy has changed, the president said quietly. Every species now knows what humans are capable of. The Hegemony Council has formally apologized and agreed to recognize all human colonies. 3 dozen species have requested defensive alliances with Earth and Admiral the Zara, court-martialed by his own people. They're hoping it will convince us not to hold the entire hegemony responsible for his actions. Admiral Hawthorne paused at a display showing the last moments of Haven's rest. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's final message played on an endless loop, her voice calm and brave even as death approached. Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them we died as humans and we died free. She got her message through. Admiral Hawthorne said. Earth heard her. Earth answered as the sun set over Haven's rest. Admiral Hawthorne walked outside the memorial. In the distance she could see the lights of New Haven, a city being built by colonists who had volunteered to resettle this world. Children were playing in parks built where alien soldiers had once marched. Families were planting gardens where fires had once burned. Above them all, barely visible in the evening sky, the shapes of human dreadnoughts kept watch. 400,000 ships still patrolled the borders of human space, ready to remind the galaxy of the price of attacking innocent people. The message was simple and clear. Humans remembered their dead. Humans protected their own, and humans had 400,000 dreadnoughts to make sure that message was never forgotten. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about humanity. They had discovered that the peaceful farmers and teachers and children were protected by guardians who could burn worlds if they had to. Haven's rest lived again. The dead were remembered, and the stars themselves bore witness to humanity's promise. Never again.